I'm simply presenting you with an unprecedented athlete doing unprecedented things at the end of his career and asking why it is that everyone who is watching this would say to me, if after the fact it actually happened, well, yeah, of course.
Dan,
well, yeah, of course.
Dan.
Like that makes sense that body would work more than any human body ever. And it had some help.
Dan,
and like
Dan.
that seems like a legitimate question to me.
Dan Batard is facing backlash for talking about LeBron James on PEDs. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
What other bad takes did we have yesterday?
Okay, so all right.
Interesting.
Clearly I was building up to this point. Dan, you can speculate how, it's a wonder that PEDs aren't more prevalent in basketball the way we know it is in football and baseball.
That's true.
What you cannot do, unequivocally, is put someone's name on it who does not have any history of it. I get what you're saying, but Dan, you got to remember, you're not Fran LeBatard or Dan Leibowitz. You're Dan LeBatard. There's a 20 under that. This show has been on the air for 20 years. You've been in the media for longer than that. When you even ask questions of that variety, you are creating something / giving voice or gas to something, no matter how unfounded it is. So you cannot say, well, Chael Sonnen said it. If Chael had just said it, if it had just come out, he was this week's guest on Andrew Schultz's show, then maybe that's an opening.
A newsworthy lane. You're talking about timeliness. It's a timeliness question where I can ask questions in. We're gonna agree on this part, right?
Yeah, let's get to it, man.
We're living in the skeptical age, right? The age of skepticism. And so if I just make it hypothetical athlete X, I don't even make it LeBron and everything you know. I simply say to you, what do you think is more likely? That an athlete would try and defy age through science at the end of his career, or that one athlete had a career that defied the limits of the human body, unlike any we've ever seen in terms of mileage and how his body holds up for 20 straight years. I'm assuming did Kareem have more minutes? I'm assuming.
Yeah, thing is with LeBron, we've been hearing these rumors for a while now. I remember back when he took a random trip to Miami, got missing for a few weeks and came back. They said he was looking stronger and bigger than ever. So I don't think it's true. I would hope it's not true. Maybe he defied the odds. He's the anomaly to where someone that's 40 plus can still be playing at a level like they did 10, 15 years ago. So hopefully for LeBron's sake, the HGH rumors are false. These are all allegations, but his name has been in the mix allegedly. So people can, bring that up. Doesn't mean you're trying to taint his legacy. We just want to know, how are you able to play at this level at 40 years old?
Assuming LeBron James has played more minutes than anyone else, which do you think is more likely?
I think if you put it as a if you frame it exactly as you framed it there are people who could say, we know who you're hinting at. But I think you stay on this, albeit very close to that line, on this side of the line of, okay, you can have that conversation.
If I preface it, though, if I'm prefacing it with all that you know about me and my admiration for LeBron, combined with, hey, I'm not accusing anyone of anyone here. I'm trying to have the macro conversation around America's giant, biggest athlete for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to LeBron, you got to walk on eggshells. You really can't even allude to anything like that. Again, he was just paraphrasing or talking about what that former UFC fighter was talking about, Chael Sonnen, whatever his name is. So he wasn't directly saying that, but he did bring it up like, all right, you got someone that's 40 years old. Could this be a possibility? We've seen it in other sports, but when it comes to LeBron, these conversations, people may throw subliminals out there, but there's never been like a direct type of connection with LeBron other than a couple articles, but it's not going to make mainstream news.
Using him as a vehicle, as we talk about Mo Vaughn over here and Ekblad over there.
Right.
Using him as, you've got this unprecedented thing. Can you guys explain to me, America, why this is the line too far on your skepticisms? I'm not accusing him of anything. Dan, I'm just wondering why this is the place that you get this offended.
I'm offended because you said it, Dan. Because and as you say, my admiration for LeBron, you think it absolves you. What it does is it puts more credence in what you're just throwing out as a question But for people to say, well, Dan Le Batard always says nice things about LeBron and how he's coming to take everybody's stuff, and now he's asking whether he's doing PEDs. Now I'm just telling you how it received. You're not. I know you're not sending it out that way, but the message is being received that way because of who you are. It would be like, Dan, it would be like if I all of a sudden started talking about J. Cole having ghostwriters.
I hear what Amin's trying to say, but I don't think he knows LeBron like that. He may have respect for him, but, if you want to bring that up, not saying it's direct, but, putting it out there. He's playing at this great level. He doesn't get injured a lot, minus the groin issues that he's been having. But LeBron has been playing like an Iron Man his whole career, and he even playing like that at this stage of his career. So people are going to bring that up. I would rather it come from Dan Le Batard, a respected journalist, someone that's been in the business for a long time, to either pose that question, to talk about other people speaking on it. But again, he wasn't like saying LeBron was on something. He just put it out in the atmosphere. And it's, for people like us to kind of, further the conversation, he's just throwing it out there.
You know who's the happiest person right now? Aaron Ekblad. There is an athlete, a white athlete, I might add, who has been ruled, right, a champion using PEDs. If this had happened to Jason Tatum, is Ekblad good? Give me.
Yeah, he's good.
above average.
Yeah. He's good.
Okay, so it's like Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis,
Drew Holiday.
If it came out that Drew Holiday was on PEDs, you know how many asterisks we would have threw on the table on the Celtics championship?
No, Tatum would.
Nah, yeah, Drew Holiday doing it'd have been another thing, just like how Bobby Portis was taking some banned substance. I don't think they're going to throw that championship out the window that they won back in 21. So, again, it would have to be Tatum for it to be a real story, for there to be an asterisk by the championship. But either way, Dan didn't do anything wrong. He just, putting that stuff out there. And again, it's for us to push that conversation if we choose to. People have said it in the past. It calmed down a little bit, and now I think it's going to start ramping up as far as if LeBron James is on the juice. Is it a possibility? Especially if he plays another 4 or 5 years at this level. I think you're going to hear more of those type of talks. Or maybe LeBron decides to leave while he's still able to, still put up 25 points per game, because if he does this at 45, 46, those talks are going to start to ramp up.
But if you do it with Tatum, the others there wouldn't be asterisks.
There would.
Jaylen Brown, there would be.
There would, because this is something that is, like, it's one thing to be caught juicing. It's another thing to get caught juicing and you're the defending champs, right? This guy should have been the center of the conversation, particularly in your local hour, where we're supposed to talk about local athletes and local sports.
Let me bring something up here.
We're talking about some other guy.
Let me bring something up here, because if I were to do things the way that you're alleging that I'm doing them, by coming this close to the line on wherever it is
you crossed it, you didn't come close.
Okay, so wherever it is that my credibility resides, what remains of it, the idea that we are talking about 20 years in the oldest player in the league, still dominating the headlines when he's out. We talk about him and how Luka's going to do with him out. It's just crazy that at this age he's doing these things, and because Tom Brady has normalized it. I'm trying to have a conversation with you about skepticism, with him as the avatar, the way he is for fatherhood, when all of a sudden him and Stephen A are arguing, or wherever it is that in the modern age you give relevance to and power and currency to these people. We're witnessing something that has no precedent for the human body. We're to and power and currency to these people. We're witnessing something that has no precedent for the human body.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Le Batard issues an apology. You can't even bring this type of stuff up when it comes to LeBron. And again, we never heard it from Skip. Never heard it from Stephen A, not to my knowledge. So the main people that would be debating about LeBron over the last 20 years, they haven't really brought that up. So I get it, by it coming from Dan, it means more, but he's not out there saying that this is true. He's just putting it out there. And a mean dude, I think he's just going off, just trying to get some clicks. I don't think he really takes it serious, but I get it's a part of media. You got to do what you got to do, but I don't even think he's serious when it comes to going back and forth with Dan on this topic.
And I'm not even questioning it.
But you
I'm
are.
asking why there aren't questions about it.
That's the same
Should
thing,
be.
Dan.
Dan, that's the same.
Dan,
Like, you're bringing it up and saying
asking,
that's the problem.
Like asking questions about why we're not asking questions is the same thing as asking questions in the ear of the listener. You might not have that intention, but by bringing it up and saying, "Hey, that's pretty suspicious. We've never seen anything quite like that. Why aren't you guys asking questions about it? Why aren't you skeptical?" Makes me go, "Oh, should I be skeptical?
Should I be
guess I should be skeptical."
If I were doing this the way that Amin is accusing me of doing it, I would just look at the camera and get the clicks of making the accusation in some framed way that would be smart. I'm not doing that. I'm simply presenting you with an unprecedented athlete doing unprecedented things at the end of his career and asking why it is that everyone who is watching this would say to me, if after the fact it actually happened, well, yeah, of course.
Dan,
Well, yeah, of course.
Dan.
Like that makes sense that body would work more than any human body ever. And it had some help.
Dan,
and like
Dan.
that seems like a legitimate question to me.
You're
It's a legit question, but again, adding it to LeBron, it's going to catch some backlash. So even though Dan Le Batard didn't mean it in that way, people are talking about this. This is barbershop talk. Is LeBron James on the juice or not? These are conversations that are probably being had by the biggest people in media, but they're not able to talk about it on mainstream media. But by Dan Le Batard being independent now, he can throw this out there. He just wants to put that question out there. But if people decide to really push the conversation forward, so be it. But we've never heard anybody on mainstream media question LeBron about this. So I don't got no issues with Dan bringing this up.